everyone. This is Sheila Butler with Successful Women Talk. I want to say thanks so much for joining me today. And on today's show, I'm super excited. We have guest Jaime Tardy. She is the creator and mastermind behind The Eventual Millionaire. If you haven't seen her show, you need to check it out. It's really good stuff. So welcome, Jaime.
Thanks so much for having me, Sheila.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Good. You know, it's funny. Yes. Before we started recording, we were both saying we've had sick kids this week. So if you are a stay-at-home mom or you work from home, you know how challenging that can be. So we both battled that this week.
Oh, yeah. No makeup today. My son's downstairs watching a video, so I could do this. Oh, yeah. We're good. We're good.
Exactly.
Won't come up.
Well, Jaime, why don't we start out with, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how that helped you get to where you are today?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, I mean, I could go back really far, but I have a degree in IT and ended up going to school for that, thinking that's what I wanted to do, and then realizing it wasn't. But I was in $70,000 in debt and didn't know how to start my own business, all that sort of story. And so coming into where I am today, I didn't even know back then that it was possible to have the lifestyle that I have now. So anybody that's sort of stuck in a day job, if they're listening to this, or even if you're crazy with your business and trying to have it all, like it's sort of an amazing thing to be on the other side of it.
I agree.
Not that it's all sunshine and roses all the time, as you could tell from the craziness that happened today. But yeah.
Well, so you were, I know you wrote a story, and I think you were publicly, I think you put it out there that you were $70,000 in debt. How did you go from that, your IT job, to what you're doing today? How did you make that transition? Because I think some of us go, well, I have these skill sets or I've worked somewhere, but how do I turn that into something? How did you do it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So sort of that day that I added up all my debt, like I had worked so hard and then that day of looking at there going, oh no, that's not good. You know, was sort of this huge, exactly, crap, what do I do now? This huge realization of I got myself into this mess. I can't, and a lot of it was student loans. It's not as though we were going crazy on credit cards. There was no credit cards in that. It was a car loan, a home equity loan, and student loans. And so realizing that if I wanted to switch jobs, and this is when I was like 24, so I had just sort of gotten out of college and into a real job, but realizing that if I wanted to switch, I felt like I couldn't switch unless I paid that off anyway, you know? And so trying to go through figuring that out, the paying off debt took about 16 months of working my butt off. And my husband doing the same, like crazy working all the time. And I was pregnant at the time too, so that was fun. And this is something that I wouldn't suggest for anyone else. I quit without knowing what I was going to do.
Gotcha.
And I did that because, yeah, don't do that. I don't recommend that. The reason why I did that is because it was all about, I was pregnant. So I wanted to be home with my son, and that was sort of the most important thing. So we saved up as much money as we could so I could stay with him. So we had a 6-month emergency fund when I quit. So that way I could be with him and maybe start my business on the side, that sort of thing. And that's what I ended up doing.
So you were kind of prepared.
Yeah, I tried. I still don't recommend it, but I tried. Yeah.
So how did you come up with the idea? So, and what was the idea? Was it coaching? So how did you say, okay, now I know I have these IT skills. I have a degree. I don't want to do that anymore. So what was your aha moment to go, okay, so I think I'm going to do this?
Okay. My exact aha moment, I was on vacation on a cruise, and I had read so many books, like Barbara Sher has a book called I Could Do Anything If I Just Knew What It Was. Like that's where my mind space was. Like, what do I do? I have no idea what I'm going to like. I have no idea what I'm going to be good at. Like we aren't taught this stuff. Like I was good at IT, but I didn't really want to do anything having to do with that. But I didn't know what my skills were. And I ended up, I was there talking to a friend that we had on the cruise with us. And I'm like, I love this. I love helping you figure out problems. He was a business owner and stuff too. Like I loved being able to really ask questions and be curious and find out. And he was like, you should be like a coach or something. And it was funny because I was like, that's cheesy. I'm not going to be a coach. Like I thought it was because I had only seen like life coaching TV shows on like, hey, you know, all about your feelings. And not that and I'm way more into that than I ever was before at that time. But I thought that was cheesy. And so it actually took a lot of brain space for me to get over that and go, you know what, maybe I could figure out how this worked. And I started a coaching program just to sort of see if I liked it or not, because you don't really know until you actually take a step. And it's funny, one of the things I tell clients, especially people that are trying to figure out what they want, it's not as though you can pick something and be like, yep, that's it for the rest of my life.
So
it's as
true.
if it's like finding a husband or a wife or whatever. You can't just go, yep, them. We're going to go, we're going to be married forever. Exactly. And so you need to try things. I've had people who've like wanted to start their own pet sitting business. And I'm like, well, why don't you work for a pet sitter? See if you even like that. And she was like, I do not like this at all, And imagine starting your own pet sitting business and then realizing, okay, never mind, I don't like this. So
now
really
I'm in the middle of it. Yeah.
Exactly. Trying out things before you go ahead and jump in with both feet, definitely.
So did you finish the coaching program?
Mm-hmm.
And how did you like it? I mean, do you think that made the biggest difference in your life as far as your business is concerned?
Yeah. I learned a lot of really amazing skills, mostly like listening and that sort of skills. It does not teach you how to be a coach, like to actually make money off of it. Not at all. It teaches you all about sort of the listening skills. And so the biggest shift for me was when I found a mentor. And so I found a mentor by I was sort of sizing up my competition. His name was Kirk Lallemond, and I wanted to chat with him. And I set up and I went to see him. He was wonderful. Like, even though I was going to be the competition, and he's like 60, he's sold $1 million business, and I'm this 25-year-old girl going like, woohoo, I'm going to do this thing. And I left, I sent him a thank you card, just saying thank you so much, because he was so helpful and so awesome. And so he ended up emailing me back going like, I wonder if we can work in a mentor-mentee relationship kind of a thing. And I was like, wow, that sounds like an amazing idea. And he was looking to have someone sort of more take over his practice. He was actually looking for someone who is 40-something. And he's like, I know you're really young, but I would love to help you. And I helped him. I actually ended up working with him for free. And I'd help him with IT stuff and help him with his business. And he taught me everything he knew for like 6 months.
That is awesome. A great trade-off. So you each benefited from that relationship.
Definitely. And it's funny, he's still my coach now. I talk to him all the time.
Did someone take over his business, his practice?
So then we got into so I was just doing local business coaching. I've been doing business coaching for 5, almost 6 years now, but there was a point where I live in the middle of nowhere in Maine, right? So no offense, I love Maine, but there's not a lot of businesses around.
You and Rich Brooks.
I know. Woo! And John Dumas.
John Dumas, that's right.
Woo! Go Maine. John's moving.
Oh, it's just going to be you and Rich.
I know. It's just going to be me and Rich. But Maine, it's sort of, and Rich actually lives in the city. I live, again, in the middle of nowhere. So trying to like drive, and I only work 20, 25 hours a week, especially back then. So trying to do that and realizing that I have all these IT skills. Why am I not online? Right. And so I remember going to him, Kirk, and going, I really think online, and this was 3 years ago, is really the way that we should go. And he's like, I can't afford to have you learning how to do that. And he was old school, like he didn't do anything with websites or anything like that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I really feel like this is the way I should go. So that was sort of a really pivotal moment for me of telling him, this person who's mentored me for years, that I'm not going to take over your business. I'm going to go start something on my own was really, really hard.
I bet that was tough.
Oh, I felt horrible. And we have a great relationship. I mean, and he was wonderful about it. And I help him all the time now. But yeah, it was one of those things that was really a tough decision for me because I feel like I had made that commitment to him. Right. But I knew I had always wanted something on my own. I didn't want to necessarily just take over his business. So it was fun. That was 3 years ago, though, and that's when I went online.
And like I said, it was pivotal for you and your business. So let me ask you this. So I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. Usually here, I do some stuff in New York as well. But how did you go, okay, I do it in person, I do it here. How do you take that online? How did you launch that? I mean, that's different. It's a whole different ballgame.
Oh, yeah. So when I started, like I know IT stuff. So I'm a big geek, but I didn't know online marketing. Very different, very different. And so I started a mastermind group. It's like the month one that my site started, I started a mastermind group with amazing people that knew way more than I did. So they could just tell me what to do because I didn't know. I should ask the people that already know.
Are these people you had already kind of been following?
Not really. It's funny. I didn't know any of them really, but I had started getting online and learning more. So I was listening to like, they're my friends now, but Jay and Jeremy from Internet Business Mastery.
Yes.
Like I started with them, which is funny because I was just chatting with Jeremy on the phone the other day. And I forget like that's how I started, by listening to their stuff. But I had found a lot of the people in the mastermind group just from checking out stuff online.
That's great.
And I didn't know any of them at all. I just sent them emails and was like, hey, you don't know me, but and now they're huge online, which is an amazing thing. But that was sort of the start of me trying to figure this whole online thing out.
And do you still do a lot of coaching? Is that still the majority of your business? I know you have your podcast, your video show, etc. But specific types of clients, or kind of in general?
Yeah, so I am lucky enough. Before I would work with, business owners in Maine. And I still, it's funny, from years, I still have some of the same clients, plumbers, landscaping companies. So I definitely have like that sort of thing, but they're like really cool businesses that are doing stuff in social media and stuff like that. But the people I work with now are just people that I really want to work with. So like they could all just be my friends. Thankfully, they're all younger and they have really amazing businesses. I adore my clients now, and I love doing coaching. But I also do some speaking, and I have the book deal, and I do trainings and stuff like that too.
Now let's talk a little. You have a book coming out, right? You're in the process. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny? I mean, I'd always wanted to write a book, right? I don't know why. It's one of those things you always want to do, even though I'm not a writer. Like I don't call myself a writer. That's why I started the podcast, because it was so annoying to write. And I was like, I can talk so much easier and I can get this done so much faster. And seriously, it's a lot faster for me to just do an interview instead of writing a whole post. Like, Pat Flynn takes 10, 20 hours on a post. Yeah. And I'm like, I have an interview done in an hour and a half. That's all I have. I have small children. I don't have time for that.
Exactly.
I mean, Pat does too. I shouldn't say that. But yeah, so it was really mostly about really trying to get the podcast up. And I got a lot of national press. And so that year, it was last year, I was like, you know what? I want to write a book. I don't know if I want to write it myself or if I want to go through a publisher, but I really, I wrote it on my list, write a book. And then I got really, really busy and didn't really think about that for a long time. And I ended up getting contacted by a literary agent in May of last year. And the reason why they contacted me is because they noticed I had a lot of national press. And so apparently that's one of the things that they look for, because if you've been on a lot of press before, it's much easier to sell you to the press later. And they knew I had a platform and all that sort of stuff too. So I ended up being able to choose between two different literary agents, and I picked a literary agent. We created a book proposal, sent that out, and I just signed a book deal with Wiley 2 months ago now. So I'm in the process of writing. Yeah.
So what's the book going to be about?
It's going to be called Eventual Millionaire.
What a
surprise.
There you go. Which is the name of the show?
Exactly. What a surprise. And it talks a lot about sort of my journey, along with, I've interviewed 100 millionaires plus now. And so it goes through, which is crazy. So it goes through sort of my story of trying to get out of corporate America, but then how do you start this business? And I've accumulated, I have thousands of pages of transcripts from all these interviews. And so taking all that and figuring out how millionaires start their businesses step by step, and what they did to find mentors and that sort of thing, sort of the very beginning stages of starting your business.
I can't wait. That's going to be excellent. Now, when is it due out?
Well, the manuscript is due in August. Thank goodness I have some time.
Yes.
And so it should be out at the beginning of next year.
Awesome. That's excellent. Well, let's shift gears just a little bit. I want to talk about, you mentioned you do have 2 small children. We talked a little bit about that at the beginning. How do you maintain your business, maintain your sanity, do your show, write a book? How do you manage work-life blend or work-life success?
Good question. I've been insane before. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be here and be like, no, it's perfect sunshine and roses all the time. As my daughter, who's not feeling well, was not happy this morning as I'm trying to get her to preschool. So, I know exactly what it's like. It's not as though it's perfect, but it's really awesome. My son is homesick today, and so I had to cancel. I was supposed to go to a client's, and I had to cancel that. But in general, I could stay next to him, and he's cuddled up next to me, and I'm on my laptop. You know what I mean? Sending emails back. And so we're really lucky, really lucky to be able to do that, which is great. I definitely try and keep work and family separate as much as possible. Like this is the office. This is on the 3rd floor. So like my dog was totally barking like really loud, but you couldn't hear because we're sort of on the 3rd floor. So that way, like if my husband, he's home right now with my son, but he's down there and it's not as though they're screaming up, in the office or really close. So it makes it so that I can actually focus and work a little bit better. The other thing though that I really have to pay attention to is scheduling everything. So I try the night before, I'm a business coach, right? So I'm really big into this. So the night before I know exactly what I'm doing the next day, like the top 3 things, because we can't do that much, and I have to be okay with not going as fast as human. Like my personality is overachiever. I want to do as much as humanly possible, as fast as I can. And I really have to mitigate that because I can't. I mean, and we can't be super women. I mean, we are super women, but we can't do everything.
Yeah, no point in setting yourself up for failure. So set yourself up for success.
Yeah. And I think that the expectations and the way you do it is really, really important. And sometimes I don't do it either. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I said I was going to do all these things. I can't. I just can't. And so like I just did a timeline this week of going, okay, how many I started adding more projects. And I was like, okay, no. I can't do this many projects. And then you have to move stuff. And it's not as though you can't do them. You just can't do them right now. And I think that's a really important thing.
So you mentioned scheduling. So my gift when I decided I was going to do something online, I realized that what comes natural to me is I can go into people's businesses and I can see their chaos and I can break it down into bite-sized pieces that seem so easy and organized. And that's a gift. I didn't realize it was a gift, but I'm kind of like you. What are my skill sets? So how can I do that? And part of what I find is people in general don't set a schedule. And as a mom entrepreneur, I couldn't function without a schedule. So you're a pretty big schedule. What systems do you use? I mean, are you a Gmail? I mean, give us a little bit of an idea of how you schedule and the systems you use to keep your life out of chaos.
Yeah. So yes, I totally use Gmail. I have an assistant now that helps me with this. Like she emails me all my appointments and confirms all my appointments. Because, some people just won't show up for an interview or something like that. But when you know whether or not they've confirmed, that totally helps. I have a to-do list that I use here, and I use with my contractors and stuff like that, a service called Podio. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Podio?
I do the same thing. Podio.
I don't know. Podio sounds bad, so let's call it Podio.
But I say I'm from Texas, so that's just how it comes out.
So I use that, which has definitely helped. That's something new that I started using and trying to make sure that everything is real. Like I said, scheduling the night before, looking at your schedule and going like, okay, tomorrow I have to do this before I have to do this. Like that's really important. Next week is school vacation. So I was just talking to someone about babysitting of going, okay, I need time to work. Let's figure that out. So I'm usually like a week in advance of knowing when everything is. Because my husband travels too. So he's going to Missouri, I think, today. And so it's a little insane. But you do the best you can with what you have.
That does make it crazy. Now, do you work 5 days a week or do you only work a few days a week? Or do you spread your hours out? How does that work?
I do. I work 5 days a week when my daughter is in preschool. My son's in kindergarten. So that works out really well when my daughter's in preschool, so I'll drop her off and I have this chunk of time to get everything done. And then occasionally when they go to bed, I'm like, okay, got to finish up some stuff. So that's pretty much what it is. So that way, I mean, it's really great to be able to have that as a schedule because okay, it's funny because I pick up my daughter in about 15 minutes. And so when I go and I pick her up, when I have the kids, I have the kids. And then when they go to bed, it's my time to work. And so that works out really well for me.
I love that. So if you had someone, I know you're a coach, so you hear this all the time, but if you had someone that said, hey, I'm thinking about starting a business, what advice, especially women, I focus more on women. I think I picked on you recently about why don't you have more women on your show?
But have you checked lately?
You've been, and they're great. Been loving them. Not that I don't love the interviews with the guys, but I like to highlight women because I think
you ask, I deliver.
See, I love that. That's what it's all about. But what advice would you give that person, a woman out there saying, "Hey, I don't want to be. I want a career. I want to be a mom. I want a business. How do I do it both?" What advice would you give her on getting started?
That you really need to get clear on what you want and what a business really is. I think we all have this idea in our head. When you don't know anything about business, you're like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to put up a website. It'll be wonderful, you know? And our expectations are wrong. Let's just say that. I mean, mine were, because I was like, I'm going to do this. It's going to be great. And I started my blog for 6 months, and I was like posting, I was reading exactly what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, this is not a business. This is not working well. I'm not actually generating revenue. Like generating revenue, really kind of important for a business, right? So getting really clear on what you're looking for. Like, how much money do you need to make a month in order for you to do that? I specifically say going through your finances. A lot of people hate that part, but that was critical for me in figuring out exactly how much money I needed to make so I could do this. Because you want to know when that transition happens. Right. And so try and figure out your debt and your finances beforehand so you can figure out maybe how long this is going to take. So when you start it as a side business and you start going, where that transition might be. Because the thing is a lot of times people sort of go into it and they just are scattered all over the place going like, this is great, let's try this, let's try this. But really having a very clear, thoughtful approach of going, okay, I would love to quit my job by this date. My finances look like it might be that. So that means this month I have to make this much money. Well, how am I going to do that? How many, if you're a coach or a consultant, how many clients am I going to need? And how many people do I need to talk to in order to get that many clients? You know, it's really, to me, that's what I help a lot of people with, getting clear on exactly what they need, because they can't take the necessary actions until they know what that result is that they're looking for.
I love that. I think that is terrific advice. And it is, because sometimes you see a lot of people out there that they have a blog, I have a business. Well, like you said, if it's not generating revenue, it's not a business. And it's
a marketing tactic. Blogging is a marketing tactic. That's all it is. Please,
yeah.
You know, if you're sponsorship, then you know what I mean, that might be a little bit different of a model, but in general, it's a marketing tactic.
Let me ask you this real quickly. Out of all, you've interviewed a ton of entrepreneurs and a ton of millionaires. What is the one core thing that you see across the page with all of them?
I get asked this question all the time. They're like, what's the secret sauce? Tell me what the one thing is.
I just wonder, like, do they have it like you? I think sometimes it's a mindset, but what is the one thing that you see, not that made them rich, but that made them who they are to help them get to where they are?
And so this is the thing that I say, because I've gone through all the transcripts. And like, this is sort of what the essence is that I see a lot. And it's that they have a no excuses approach. And I'm not saying like they don't have excuses, because you have excuses, I have excuses, completely admit that. But they're really good at getting past those excuses and not having those matter. So if they need to get uncomfortable in their business, no big deal. They're just going to do it anyway. Like, though the hard work, they're ridiculous hard workers, you know? And so being able to have that no excuses approach, recognizing them and then getting past them anyway, was a critical piece that I see over and over and over again.
I agree. I love that. Some people ask me the same thing. How'd you build, I built an offline multi-million-dollar business. How'd you do that? A lot of hard work.
People don't want to hear that answer.
And 15-hour days, 16-hour days, a lot of hard work. Yeah. Hey, Jaime, if someone wanted to connect with you, where would you want to send them?
If you go to eventualmillionaire.com, you'll see almost 100 interviews there. And you can also sign up for the top 3 habits that all successful millionaires have. Which one of them is no excuses. And I go into exactly how, because it's one thing to say, have no excuses approach. It's another thing to take action. So there's action items and stuff like that all in that.
And that's what's important. Reading it and then going out and implementing it, right?
It's all about the action. Yes.
And you do that in your interviews, which I love, by the way. Jaime, I appreciate you taking the time. I love your show. Again, guys, if you haven't checked it out, eventualmillionaire.com, check out Jaime's show. She's tons of information. She's fun to watch. And Jaime, we appreciate having you on the show.
Thank you so much. Hopefully I'll see you again soon, Sheila.
Tuning into this episode of Successful Women Talk. Listen, a lot of people ask me, Sheila, how did you build a business from 0 customers in revenue to thousands of customers and multi-7 figures within a few short years? Here's the secret sauce. We had great products, excellent customer service, and we leveraged, this is key, we leveraged our systems and processes. If you want to learn more about this or how to reclaim your time, join me over at www.successfulwomentalk.com, and I'll show you how to get the life, business, and customers you want. Thanks so much.